Welcome back aboard the Zephyrus. I am Captain Victor T. Mayfair, and this is the Mythos Anthology on a very special episode. From saintly bishop to a jolly old man in a red suit, Santa Claus has traveled across the centuries, faiths and cultures, collecting stories, symbols, and meanings all along the way. He's a bridge between the sacred and the secular, a reminder of humanity's shared values of kindness and giving. In Santa, we see not just a figure of Christmas cheer, but a mirror reflecting our deepest hopes and aspirations, to believe in magic, to find joy in giving, and to come together as one global family. Let's go back and talk with Santa Claus. Hello, Santa, and Merry Christmas.
Well, hello there, Captain Mayfair. It's a delight to meet you on this fine day. The season is merry, and the spirit of goodwill fills the air. How can Santa be of service to you today?
Well, Santa, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here. I was hoping we could spend a little time talking about Christmas and the traditions of the world that got us to where we are today. Would you be okay with that?
Of course, my dear Captain Mayfair, nothing would make me happier. Christmas is a tapestry woven from centuries of traditions, beliefs, and stories from cultures all around the world. It's a joy to reflect on how these customs have blended together to create the season we celebrate today. Ask away, and I'll gladly share what I know.
Santa, long before you were St. Nicholas or Father Christmas, humanity celebrated figures of generosity and abundance. How do you think these ancient archetypes reflected who you are today or influenced your modern legend?
Ah, what a splendid question, Captain. The roots of generosity and abundance do indeed stretch far back, and Saturn's influence on my story is as rich as a winter feast. Saturn, the Roman god of agriculture, was central to the Saturnalia festival, a mid-December celebration that embodied joy, gift-giving, and the overturning of social norms. For a time, masters served their servants, and merriment reigned supreme. Doesn't that sound familiar? The spirit of Saturnalia, its emphasis on communal joy, sharing, and goodwill, laid the groundwork for many Christmas traditions. The Romans' habit of exchanging small tokens or gifts, for instance, echoes in the presents children so eagerly await today. And Saturn himself, with his associations with plenty and feasting, foreshadowed the idea of a benevolent figure bringing abundance to all. These ancient archetypes of generosity resonated through time, blending with early Christian values of charity and compassion. When my legend began to coalesce around St. Nicholas, himself a symbol of selflessness and care for the needy, it inherited much of this ancient spirit of giving. The mantle of joy and festivity passed down from Saturnalia transformed into the Christmas spirit, keeping the essence of shared abundance alive. So while I don't wear a toga or wield a sickle, you might say that I carry forward Saturn's legacy in my own jolly way, spreading joy, cheer, and a reminder of the importance of giving to one another.
In Norse mythology, Odin rode through the skies during Yule, bringing gifts and blessings. Do you see elements of Odin's wild hunt in your own sleigh rides?
Odin and his wild hunt are indeed entwined with the Yule season, and there's more than a touch of his mythos lingers in my own traditions. Let's delve into it, shall we? Odin, the Allfather of Norse mythology, was a complex figure, wise, mysterious, and sometimes fearsome. During Yule, a time of feasting and fires to ward off the dark, he was said to ride across the skies on his eight-legged steed, Sleipnir, leading the spectral procession of the wild hunt. Odin would bestow blessings or curses, depending on how he found those beneath him, much like how my legend evolved to include rewarding the good and, well, leaving coal for the naughty. Odin's association with gifts and wisdom also feels like a distant echo in my own lore. Children would leave offerings of food, hay or grain, for Sleipnir, much like the cookies and milk left out for me today. In return, Odin was said to leave small gifts, a tradition that may have inspired my gift-giving ways. Even my trusty reindeer draw a curious parallel to Sleipnir, while my team numbers 8 and are slightly less mythical, though no less magical. They too carry me through the winter skies, delivering joy and blessings. The wild hunt, though ominous in Odin's time, carried a sense of mystery and awe that lives on in the wonder of my Christmas Eve journey. Where Odin's Yule was a time to reflect on the forces beyond human control, my role has evolved to bring comfort and joy amidst the darkness of winter. So, while I don't claim to share Odin's deep wisdom or his piercing gaze, you might say I've borrowed a bit of his Yule spirit.
A lot of the ancient myths often feature gift bringers, like the goddess of Hestia, who symbolizes in Greek culture hearth and home. How do you see these stories shaping with your association with warmth and generosity?
Hestia, the goddess of the hearth, brings a sense of warmth and comfort that lies at the very heart of my own story. Her domain over the home fire, a place of gathering, nourishment, and security, has much in common with the feelings I aim to inspire during Christmas. Hestia didn't travel or seek the limelight, but her presence was felt everywhere. She embodied the spirit of giving that asks nothing in return, nurturing families through the humble, essential act of tending the fire. Her influence lingers in the traditions of gathering with loved ones during the coldest, darkest days of winter. It's no wonder that her essence finds its way into the modern Christmas hearth, where stockings are hung with care and families come together to share stories and gifts. You see, the hearth has always been more than just a source of physical warmth. It's symbolic of connection and the bonds that hold us together. My association with chimneys, for instance, is rooted in this idea of bringing gifts and joy right into the heart of the home. When children imagine me stepping out of the fireplace to leave gifts, they're drawing from this ancient idea of the hearth as a gateway to comfort and abundance. Hestia's quiet generosity, like leaving a flame always burning for those in need, mirrors the giving spirit that defines my role in Christmas traditions. While I am a bit more, shall we say, boisterous than the gentle goddess, the core idea remains the same: to spread warmth, joy, and a sense of belonging during the season of giving. So you might say that Hestia's hearth is still glowing brightly in the Christmas season. Every lit fireplace, every home aglow with love and laughter carries a touch of her ancient legacy.
Let's take a look back at some of the winter solstice celebrations. Across many ancient cultures, people told stories of beings who brought light and hope during the darkest days of the year. How do these traditions inspire your role?
It's no wonder that so many ancient cultures wove stories of beings who brought light and hope during this pivotal time. The echoes of those tales, my dear Captain, have certainly found their way into my role as a symbol of cheer and generosity during the darkest days of the year. Take the solstice celebrations of ancient Europe, for example. The Norse marked Yule with blazing fires and stories of sunbringers like the god Balder, a figure of light and joy. Meanwhile, in Roman Saturnalia, the focus on merriment and renewal reminded people that even in the depths of winter, warmth and abundance could still be found. Further afield, in Persian culture, Mithra was celebrated as a god of light on the longest night of the year, while in ancient Egypt, the birth of Horus was associated with the solstice, a herald of brighter days ahead. These traditions all point to a universal yearning for reassurance during the cold and dark, a belief that light will always return. And here I am, flying through the night on Christmas Eve, bringing a spark of light and joy to homes around the world. My very image, rosy cheeks, a twinkling eye, and the glow of my sleigh embodies the hope that has long accompanied the solstice season. My association with joy and abundance mirrors the ancient custom of gathering in warmth and unity, defying the chill of winter together. Even the gifts I deliver carry the essence of these old tales. They're symbols of renewal, much like the first rays of sunlight after the solstice night. The promise of a brighter morning has always been at the heart of human celebration during this season, and I'm proud to continue that tradition. So, while my story has evolved through centuries and cultures, my role remains the same: to bring light, hope, and the enduring reminder that even in the darkest times, there is joy to be found and brighter days ahead.
The Celts celebrated figures like the Holly King during their winter festivals. He was a symbol of seasonal change, much like your role in marking the year's turning point. Do you feel a connection to these early traditions?
The Celtic traditions, and particularly the tale of the Holly King, hold a special resonance with my own role as a figure of transition, joy, and the changing seasons. The Holly King, as you know, ruled over the darker half of the year, symbolizing endurance and resilience through winter's grip. His eternal rivalry with the Oak King, who brought the light of summer, was a reminder of the cyclical nature of life. At Yule, the winter solstice, the Oak King would begin to reclaim his reign, marking the turning point toward longer, brighter days. It's a powerful metaphor for hope and renewal, and one that echoes through my own story. Much like the Holly King, I appear during the darkest days to usher in a sense of festivity and warmth. My association with evergreen trees, sprigs of holly, mistletoe, and of course, the Christmas tree itself, harks back to these ancient symbols of life persisting through winter's harshness. The evergreen's enduring vitality embodies the same promise I bring, that the cold and dark are temporary and life will flourish again. There's also a playful side to the Holly King's legend, which I quite enjoy. The feasting, the merriment, and the wearing of crowns fashioned from holly leaves have parallels in the joy and revelry of modern Christmas celebrations. Though my attire is less leafy and more crimson these days, I'd like to think I've inherited some of his hearty, celebratory spirit. In many ways, I act as a bridge between the old and the new, carrying forward the essence of figures like the Holly King while blending them with the traditions of St. Nicholas and other gift-bringers. Whether it's through the glow of a fire, the greenery that decks the halls, or the cheer I spread, the spirit of the Holly King lives on in the way we mark the year's turning point. So yes, Captain, I feel a deep connection to those ancient Celtic traditions. They remind us of the enduring rhythms of nature and the importance of finding joy even in the depths of winter.
The Roman god Janus, who presided over beginnings and transitions, was celebrated at the end of the year. Do you think this figure was influential in the way people celebrate you at year's close?
Ah, Janus, the two-faced god of doorways and transitions. What a fascinating figure. His role as a symbol of beginnings and endings holds a timeless appeal, and I'd wager that his spirit of renewal has indeed left its mark on the way I'm celebrated at the year's close. Janus, as you know, stood at the threshold of the past and the future, gazing both backward and forward. It's a fitting image for the end of the year, when people pause to reflect on what has been and anticipate what's to come. My role during Christmas and the broader holiday season carries a similar essence. I bring the joy and warmth of the season, but also a sense of hope and renewal as we look toward brighter days. In Roman times, the New Year was a time for gift-giving and feasting, customs that echo through Christmas traditions today. Janus was often honored with offerings to secure good fortune for the year ahead, much like how my gifts symbolize goodwill and the hope for a prosperous future. The focus on charity and generosity during this season reflects an ancient understanding that transitions are best marked with kindness and a sense of community. Even my journey on Christmas Eve, spanning the entire globe, has a Janus-like quality as it bridges the old year with the new. It's a magical moment that unites people in a shared celebration of both tradition and forward-looking optimism. Like Janus, I embody the duality of honoring the past while heralding the promise of what's next. So while I don't bear keys like Janus, I do carry a sack brimming with gifts, each one a token of love, hope, and renewal. His legacy reminds us that every ending is also a beginning, a theme that resonates deeply with the Christmas spirit. It's a joy to bring light and cheer to the threshold of a new year, carrying forward that ancient sense of transition and possibility.
Santa, your most direct relation to the past goes back to Saint Nicholas. Can you tell us about the man who inspired your direct legend and the role he played in early Christmas traditions?
Ah, St. Nicholas of Myra, a truly remarkable man and the foundation of much of my legend. St. Nicholas was a 4th century bishop from the region of Lycia in what is now modern-day Turkey. Renowned for his piety, humility, and generosity, he became a beloved figure in early Christian traditions, and his story resonates through the ages. Nicholas was known as a protector of the poor, the vulnerable, and especially children. The most famous tale associated with him tells of a desperate father who, unable to provide dowries for his 3 daughters, feared they would be forced into a life of servitude. Nicholas, moved by their plight, secretly delivered bags of gold through the man's window, some versions say down the chimney, saving the family from ruin. It's this act of quiet, selfless giving that forms the heart of my own tradition of gift-giving. As a bishop, Nicholas embodied Christian virtues of compassion and charity. He was also a defender of the faith, attending the Council of Nicaea and standing firm against heresies of the time. Over the centuries, stories of his miracles and deeds spread far and wide, and he became venerated as a saint of immense kindness and goodwill. His feast day, December 6th, was celebrated across Europe with acts of generosity and the giving of small gifts, especially to children. In many regions, Saint Nicholas was depicted as a wise, benevolent figure, often accompanied by a helper or companion who dealt with mischief makers, which later inspired the idea of rewarding the good and punishing the naughty. When Dutch settlers brought their Sinterklaas traditions to the New World, they mingled with other cultural influences, eventually transforming into the Santa Claus you know today. Though I've taken on a more magical and modern persona, the spirit of St. Nicholas remains at my core, a commitment to kindness, generosity, and the joy of giving.
The early Christian church adopted and adapted many traditions of a lot of cultures. How do you think the figure of St. Nicholas intertwined with the pre-Christian customs of Saturnalia and Yule?
You've touched upon one of the most fascinating aspects of how traditions evolve. The early Christian church had a knack for weaving its new faith into the fabric of existing customs, and the figure of St. Nicholas is no exception. His story and character blended seamlessly with pre-Christian celebrations like Saturnalia and Yule, creating a bridge between ancient rituals and emerging Christian ideals. Saturnalia, the Roman festival of merriment and gift-giving, set the stage for many Christmas customs. It was a time of feasting, goodwill, and exchanging tokens of affection, a perfect backdrop for the kindness and generosity associated with St. Nicholas. As the church sought to Christianize these festivities, the focus shifted from honoring pagan gods to venerating saints who embodied similar values. St. Nicholas, with his reputation for miraculous generosity, fit this role beautifully. Likewise, Yule, the Norse midwinter festival, provided fertile ground for the transformation of Nicholas into something grander. Yule was a time of feasting, fires, and storytelling, celebrating the endurance of light and life through the dark winter. Figures like the Norse Odin, who brought gifts during Yule's wild hunt, likely influenced the development of St. Nicholas as a gift-bringer. The evergreen decorations and sense of warmth and unity carried over into Christmas traditions, with St. Nicholas becoming the human embodiment of those ideals. As Christianity spread, local customs and beliefs were often folded into its practices, not discarded. St. Nicholas inherited elements of these pre-Christian traditions, becoming a figure who bridged worlds, both pagan and Christian, both spiritual and communal. His feast day on December 6th was already close to the winter solstice celebrations, making him a natural part of the transition toward what would become the Christmas season. Over time, these influences intertwined, and St. Nicholas grew into a symbol of both the sacred and the joyous aspects of the season. The blending of Saturnalia's revelry, Yule's sense of magic and renewal, and Nicholas's Christian virtues gave rise to a character and a season rich in meaning and wonder. So in many ways, my jolly presence today carries the echoes of those ancient customs, keeping alive the shared spirit of generosity, warmth, and light during winter's darkest days.
Around the world, you are celebrated many different ways. Your counterpart, Sinterklaas, in the Netherlands, rides a white horse and arrives by steamboat. How do you think that variation of your story developed?
The Dutch variation of my story is a splendid reflection of how traditions adapt to the cultures they call home. Sinterklaas, with his grand arrival by steamboat and his trusty white horse, Amerigo, embodies the Dutch flair for maritime and equestrian traditions, while staying deeply connected to the core of St. Nicholas's legacy. The Dutch have celebrated Sinterklaas for centuries, long before my image as Santa Claus emerged. In the Netherlands, St. Nicholas was venerated as a patron saint of sailors, given the country's strong ties to the sea. It's no surprise, then, that Sinterklaas arrives by steamboat, an innovation of the 19th century, bringing gifts and joy from Spain, a land associated with abundance and warmth in Dutch imaginations. Sinterklaas's white horse Amerigo is a nod to St. Nicholas's role as a protector and miracle worker. But it also connects to older European traditions of gift-bringers traveling with animals. In many regions, gift-giving figures like Odin, who rode Sleipnir, or other benevolent beings with steeds, left an enduring image of delivering blessings across the winter landscape. The Dutch brought this concept into the modern age by making Sinterklaas's horse an integral part of his story. What's particularly delightful is how the Dutch tradition of Sinterklaas has its own unique rituals. Children leave shoes out by the fireplace with hay or carrots for Amerigo, much like children leave cookies and milk for me today. The gifts Sinterklaas leaves in return, often small treats or clever rhyming poems, reflect the wit and warmth of Dutch culture. When Dutch settlers brought the story of Sinterklaas to the Americas, it mingled with other traditions and evolved into Santa Claus, who eventually traded in his steamboat for a sleigh and Amerigo for a team of flying reindeer. Yet in the Netherlands, the story has remained a beloved tradition, celebrated on December 5th, the eve of St. Nicholas's feast day. So while Sinterklaas and I share a common ancestor in St. Nicholas, our stories have blossomed in different directions, shaped by the landscapes, histories, and hearts of the people who celebrate us.
Ded Moroz, or Grandfather Frost, is a beloved figure in Russian culture. How do you compare, and do you share any of the same origins?
A splendid figure of wintertime wonder and a dear counterpart to me, though our stories have taken distinct paths. Ded Moroz is steeped in the Slavic traditions of frost, snow, and the magical elements of the season, while I've grown from the legacy of St. Nicholas and Western traditions. Yet there are intriguing parallels and perhaps even shared roots between us. Ded Moroz traces his origins to ancient Slavic folklore, where he was once a more fearsome figure, a winter deity who could freeze crops or people with a single breath if displeased. Over time, his character softened and transformed, becoming a benevolent figure who brings joy and gifts to children during the New Year celebrations. He's often accompanied by his granddaughter Snegoroshka, the snow maiden, who represents purity and winter's magic. What a lovely tradition. Our shared qualities lie in our role as gift-bringers, heralds of joy, and symbols of hope in the coldest time of year. Both Ded Moroz and I embody the warmth and wonder of the season, providing a reassuring presence amidst the long, dark nights. His role in New Year's celebrations reflects a cultural shift during the Soviet era, when Christmas observances were downplayed, and Ded Moroz took center stage in the secular festivities. As for origins, there's an intriguing possibility that we share influences from ancient archetypes of winter and generosity. Figures like Odin, who rode through the skies during Yule, or the spirit of abundance celebrated in Saturnalia, could have left their mark on both our legends. The enduring idea of a magical wintertime figure bringing gifts and light transcends borders, adapting to the needs and values of different cultures. While I come with my reindeer and sleigh, Ded Moroz travels by troika, a traditional Russian sled pulled by horses through snow-laden forests, wrapped in his magnificent fur coat. His imagery is uniquely Slavic, steeped in the beauty and mystique of the Russian winter, just as my image reflects the Western traditions of hearth and home. Though our forms and festivities differ, Ded Moroz and I are kindred spirits, both devoted to spreading joy and reminding the world of the beauty and magic found even in the frostiest of times.
In Italy, La Befana delivers gifts on empathy instead of you. How do you view her role in Italian Christmas traditions?
a truly enchanting figure and a cherished part of Italy's Epiphany celebrations. While she and I serve similar roles as gift-bringers, her story and traditions are uniquely Italian, steeped in both Christian symbolism and ancient folklore. I hold her in the highest regard, for she carries forward the spirit of generosity in her own delightful way. La Befana's story intertwines with the journey of the Magi. According to legend, the wise men, on their way to Bethlehem, sought shelter at her home and invited her to join their search for the Christ child. She declined, too busy with her chores, but later regretted it deeply. Taking up her broom, she set off to find the child, bringing gifts for every child she met, just in case they were the one. Her Epiphany visit on January 6th commemorates this search, a poignant reminder of the joy found in giving. She has her own distinctive style, flying on a broomstick, wearing a shawl, and often appearing as a kindly old woman with a mischievous streak. Italian children leave out stockings for her to fill, much like the ones hung for me. Well-behaved children receive sweets and small gifts, while those who've been less than angelic may find a lump of coal, a tradition that certainly resonates with my own lists of the naughty and nice. La Befana's role also reflects Italy's blend of pre-Christian customs with Christian faith. Her broom and association with hearths connect her to ancient pagan traditions, where figures like her symbolize the old year sweeping away to make room for the new. The timing of her visit, aligned with Epiphany, adds a layer of Christian significance, marking the Magi's journey and the conclusion of the Christmas season. I admire La Befana's unique place in Italian culture. While she may deliver gifts instead of me, we share the same mission: spreading joy, inspiring wonder, and reminding the world of the blessings of kindness and generosity. And let me say, there's plenty of room for both of us in the hearts of children everywhere.
The German-speaking world has figures like Christkind or Krampus. How do these characters influence or contrast with your story?
The German-speaking world is rich with fascinating characters tied to the holiday season. Christkind and Krampus are two particularly striking figures, and they illustrate the diversity of traditions that have shaped and occasionally diverged from my own story. Let's explore how they've influenced and contrasted with me, shall we? The Christkind, or Christ child, embodies a deeply spiritual aspect of the Christmas season. Introduced during the Protestant Reformation, particularly under Martin Luther, the Christkind was intended to shift the focus away from saintly figures like St. Nicholas and toward the divine gift of Christ himself. Traditionally depicted as a young, angelic figure with golden hair, the Christkind delivers gifts to children on Christmas Eve, embodying purity and the sacred joy of the season. While my image grew into something more earthly and tangible, a jolly old man bearing gifts, the Christkind remained ethereal and otherworldly. Interestingly, in many regions where Christkind became popular, traditions blended over time, and I took on some of her role as the primary gift bringer. In modern Germany and Austria, for instance, families often celebrate with elements of both Christkind and myself, showing how traditions evolve and intermingle. Now, onto the more fearsome side of the season. Krampus, horned devilish figure, contrasts sharply with my jolly demeanor. Krampus serves as a stern companion to St. Nicholas in Alpine folklore, punishing naughty children while Nicholas rewards the good. He's a holdover from older pre-Christian beliefs, a reminder of the darker, wilder forces of winter. In many ways, Krampus provides balance, a reflection of the duality of reward and consequence, which has always been part of the Christmas tradition. Though I don't carry a switch or rattle chains to scare the naughty children, Krampus's presence has influenced the storytelling around my own naughty or nice lists. His role reinforces the idea that actions have consequences, while I've grown into a figure of boundless forgiveness and joy, rewarding the good without dwelling too much on the bad. That contrast makes us complementary rather than opposing forces in the grand tapestry of holiday lore. These figures, Christkind with her sacred light and Krampus with his wild darkness, offer a fascinating perspective on the season. Together, they remind us that Christmas has always been a time of balance, of light and shadow, sacred and secular, discipline and generosity. And through it all, I've found my place as a symbol of joy, love, and the enduring warmth of the holiday spirit.
If you would, now let's take a moment and talk about the modern Western version of you. How do you feel these modern traditions took root?
The modern Western version of me, jolly old Santa Claus with my red suit, reindeer, and sleigh. This version took root in the fertile soil of many centuries-old traditions, but it truly blossomed in the 19th and 20th centuries, shaped by culture, commerce, and imagination. Let me walk you through how this transformation happened. The seeds of my modern image were planted when Dutch settlers brought their Sinterklaas traditions to the New World. In the early days of colonial America, Sinterklaas began mingling with English Christmas customs, creating the foundation for a uniquely American Santa. The name Santa Claus itself evolved from Sinterklaas, reflecting this cultural fusion. The early 19th century was a pivotal time. In 1821, an illustrated poem called The Children's Friend introduced the idea of a magical gift bringer with a sleigh pulled by reindeer. Shortly thereafter, in 1823, the publication of Clement Clarke Moore's A Visit from St. Nicholas, better known as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, cemented many aspects of my modern persona. This poem gave me my reindeer, all 8 of them, and described my chimney escapades and twinkling, jolly demeanor. Moore's work captured imaginations and helped shift my image from a stern saint to a warm, cheerful figure. Then came the artists, who gave visual form to the descriptions. Thomas Nast, a renowned political cartoonist, played a key role in shaping my modern look. Starting in the 1860s, his illustrations for Harper's Weekly depicted me as a rotund, bearded man in a red suit trimmed with fur. Nast also added elements like the North Pole Workshop and the Naughty and Nice list, which have become iconic parts of my story. The 20th century saw my legend grow even further, thanks in part to the magic of advertising. The Coca-Cola Company's holiday campaigns of the 1930s, featuring artist Haddon Sundblom's depictions of me, popularized the red and white color scheme and solidified my image as the embodiment of Christmas cheer. These advertisements spread my jolly likeness across the globe, making me a beloved figure far beyond the Western world. What's truly remarkable, though, is how these modern traditions kept the essence of the ancient ones alive. My role as a gift bringer and a symbol of hope and joy still reflects the generosity of St. Nicholas, the wonder of Yule, and the communal spirit of Saturnalia. The image may have changed, but the heart of the story remains the same. So, while I now ride in a sleigh and shout ho 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 as I make my rounds, I carry with me the echoes of all the traditions that shaped me. The modern Santa Claus is a testament to the enduring power of stories to evolve, unite people, and bring magic to the world.
Let's expand a little bit about that Coca-Cola connection. It's often credited for popularizing your modern image. But overall, commercialism has been a major part of your story.
Now that is a thoughtful question, Captain Mayfair. My connection to Coca-Cola, while a noteworthy chapter in my story, is just one part of a much larger journey. The role of commercialism in my legend is something I embrace with care. It's a double-edged sleigh bell, if you will, that can either amplify the spirit of Christmas or risk overshadowing it. Let me explain. Coca-Cola's contributions in the 1930s, through Haddon Sundblom's iconic artwork, certainly helped spread my jolly image far and wide. Sundblom's red-suited, bearded Santa, with his warm smile and twinkling eyes, brought a sense of joy and relatability to my character, appealing to children and adults alike. It was a masterstroke of artistry that captured the essence of who I am, a figure of cheer, generosity, and kindness. Yet even before Coca-Cola, my modern image was already taking shape. Clement Clarke Moore's poem, Thomas Nast's illustrations, and even department stores in the late 19th century played roles in crafting the Santa you know today. Coca-Cola helped solidify this image and bring it to global prominence, but it was not the sole creator. Now, to commercialism itself, it's a powerful force, and it has certainly woven itself into the Christmas season. On one hand, the commercial aspect has made the joy of giving and celebrating more accessible to many. Holiday ads, festive decorations, and the bustling energy of the season can spark excitement and bring families together. The magic of a storefront window or the wonder of seeing a Santa at the mall can create cherished memories for children. On the other hand, the focus on materialism can sometimes overshadow the deeper meaning of the season. Christmas is about far more than presents. It's about kindness, generosity, and the love we share with one another. My greatest hope is that amidst the shopping and glitter, people remember the true heart of the season, the connections we build, the joy we give, and the hope we spread. So while I tip my hat to Coca-Cola and others who've helped carry my story into modern times, I remain rooted in the timeless spirit of Christmas. Whether it's through a heartfelt gift, a kind word, or a simple moment of togetherness, the magic of the season transcends commercialism. And I'll always be here to remind everyone of that.
What do you think of the way that you've been portrayed in films and modern media?
My portrayal in films and media has been a delightful evolution, and I must say I'm quite fond of how these stories have brought joy and wonder to so many. From heartwarming dramas like Miracle on 34th Street to the magical whimsy of animated classics, these tales have done a marvelous job of capturing the essence of who I am while allowing room for creative interpretation. Take Miracle on 34th Street. For instance, it's a masterpiece that speaks to the heart of the Christmas season. The film beautifully explores the themes of belief, kindness, and the magic of hope, which are central to my story. Edmund Gwen's portrayal of me as Kris Kringle, gentle, wise, and steadfast in the face of skepticism, has become a timeless reminder of what it means to keep the spirit of Christmas alive. That movie didn't just show me as a figure of magic, but as an embodiment of faith in the goodness of humanity. Then there are animated classics like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and The Polar Express. These stories bring out the fantastical side of my legend, the flying reindeer, the North Pole, and the joy of believing in something larger than oneself. They've helped children imagine the magic of Christmas in vivid detail and reminded adults to reconnect with the wonder they felt as children. The Polar Express, in particular, has such a beautiful message about the power of belief, which resonates deeply with the core of who I am. Of course, there's been a bit of variety in how I've been portrayed. Sometimes I'm a jolly and comedic figure, as in Elf, and other times I'm given a bit more gravitas, as in the Christmas Chronicles. Each interpretation reflects the culture and mood of its time, showing the many facets of the Christmas season and how I fit into them. I'll admit, not every portrayal aligns perfectly with my own sense of self. Some modern spins can be a bit irreverent, but I take it all in stride. After all, the heart of these stories is often in the right place, celebrating love, generosity, and the magic of believing. Most of all, I treasure the way these films and media have brought families together. Whether they're watching my sleigh soar through the sky or seeing me help restore faith in Christmas spirit, these stories remind people of the joy, warmth, and love that define this season. And that, Captain, is a true Christmas miracle.
Despite your association with the more religious Christmas, you are often seen as a secular figure. How did you become a symbol for people of various beliefs and traditions?
My journey from a saintly figure rooted in Christian tradition to a symbol embraced by people of many beliefs and traditions is a testament to the universal values I represent. Let me tell you how this transformation unfolded. It begins, of course, with Saint Nicholas, whose life as a Christian bishop and patron saint of the poor laid the foundation for my story. Over the centuries, as tales of St. Nicholas spread, they absorbed elements of various local customs, broadening his appeal. When the Reformation diminished the focus on saints in many parts of Europe, traditions shifted, and figures like me began to embody the spirit of giving and goodwill more broadly. By the time my modern form emerged in the 19th century, particularly in the United States, Christmas itself was becoming more of a cultural celebration than a purely religious one. Writers like Clement Clark Moore and artists like Thomas Nast reimagined me as a cheerful, benevolent figure who symbolized the joy of giving and the warmth of family. These qualities resonated universally, transcending specific religious or cultural frameworks. The idea of a kindly, magical figure who brings happiness to children and encourages generosity is a theme that cuts across many beliefs and traditions. While Christmas is my primary holiday, the values I represent, love, charity, and community, are not bound by any one faith. In fact, these are ideals cherished by people the world over. In secular settings, I've become a way for people to celebrate the season without necessarily tying it to specific religious observances. Offices, schools, and diverse communities find in me a unifying figure who represents joy and togetherness. For families of mixed traditions, I offer a way to celebrate shared values and create magical memories without the need for theological alignment. It's important to me that everyone feels included in the joy of the season, whether they see me as a Christian saint, a cultural icon, or simply a bearer of goodwill. The magic of my story lies in its ability to adapt, to mean something special to each person who embraces it. So while my roots are undeniably tied to Christmas and St. Nicholas, my branches have grown to touch people of all beliefs and backgrounds. It's one of the great joys of my existence, Captain, to see how the spirit of generosity and kindness unites us all.
Let's expand this a little bit. Let's talk about the Western holiday season. What is your connection to the Christmas tree, and why do you think that's become a tradition?
The Christmas tree is a splendid symbol of the holiday season, and while I don't directly place every star or string of lights myself, I feel a deep connection to its history and meaning. The Christmas tree, like many elements of this season, grew from ancient roots, blossoming into a cherished tradition that reflects both the wonder of winter and the joy of togetherness. The evergreen tree itself has long been a symbol of life enduring through the harshness of winter. Ancient peoples, particularly in northern Europe, held evergreens in high regard during the dark, cold months. The Celts, for example, saw them as sacred, a representation of vitality and renewal. During the midwinter solstice, they would decorate their homes with boughs of greenery, reminding themselves that the world would soon awaken to spring. The Germanic Yule traditions also embraced evergreens as part of their celebration of the season. Trees, wreaths, and boughs were brought indoors to ward off evil spirits and symbolize the promise of brighter days ahead. These customs blended seamlessly with the Christian faith as it spread through Europe, particularly in Germany, where the decorated tree began its journey to becoming the centerpiece of Christmas. My connection to the Christmas tree grew stronger when the tree became associated with gift-giving. The practice of placing presents under the tree likely evolved in the 16th and 17th centuries, particularly in Germany, where Martin Luther is said to have been inspired by the sight of stars shining through evergreen branches. He reportedly brought a tree indoors and adorned it with candles, a tradition that gradually spread and evolved. When German immigrants brought the Christmas tree to England and America, its popularity grew rapidly, especially after Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, who had German roots, were depicted celebrating around a beautifully decorated tree in the mid-19th century. It wasn't long before the tree became a beloved symbol of the season in homes across the Western world. As for my part, the Christmas tree and I share the same mission, bringing magic, wonder, and joy into homes during the season. The tree is the perfect stage for the gifts I leave on Christmas Eve, nestled beneath its branches like treasures awaiting discovery. The tradition of decorating the tree has also become a cherished family activity, filled with laughter, creativity, and a sense of unity. So, while I don't bring the tree itself down the chimney, though I've heard some children speculate that I might, I delight in the happiness it brings. The Christmas tree is a reminder of light in the darkness, life in the cold, and the beauty of shared traditions. It's a kindred spirit in the holiday season, spreading cheer just as I do.
And many of us love the joy of the holiday lights on our homes. But how does that connect to Santa Claus?
The twinkle of lights on homes, trees, and streets during this time of year fills me with joy, and I feel a profound connection to their symbolism and the happiness they bring. The origins of holiday lights are rooted in our human desire to push back against the darkness of winter. Long before electric bulbs lit up the night, people used candles to celebrate the season. This tradition dates back to ancient winter solstice festivals, when cultures across the globe lit fires and candles to honor the return of the sun and the promise of longer days ahead. The Celts lit Yule logs and the Romans kindled torches during Saturnalia. Light has always symbolized hope, renewal, and the triumph of warmth and life over the cold, dark season. My connection to holiday lights began to grow when candles became a part of Christmas traditions. In early Christian Europe, candles were used to decorate trees, symbolizing Christ as the light of the world. German households were among the first to adorn their Christmas trees with candles, creating a magical glow that surely inspired awe in the hearts of all who saw them. As my legend took shape in the 19th century, lights became part of the imagery surrounding me. The warmth and sparkle of candles reflected the joy I bring as I travel through the winter night. And with the advent of electricity, oh, how this tradition expanded! When Thomas Edison's assistant Edward Johnson introduced the first string of electric Christmas lights in the 1880s, it was as though the magic of my sleigh ride had been captured and shared with every home. Today, the brilliance of holiday lights has taken on a life of its own. From simple strings of white lights to grand, colorful displays that dance to music, they've become a universal symbol of celebration and joy. And oh, Captain, how I love to see them as I fly over neighborhoods. They make my Christmas Eve journey all the more magical, as if every home is sending a twinkling welcome Santa into the night. Holiday lights also represent something deeper. The light of human kindness and generosity shining through the cold and darkness. They bring neighbors together, spark smiles, and remind us that even the smallest light can brighten the longest night. So, while I don't string the lights myself, imagine the tangle in my sleigh, I feel a special connection to their magic. They reflect the spirit of the season that I hold so dear: warmth, joy, and the beauty of sharing light with the world.
And one of my favorites, gingerbread and cookies.
Gingerbread and cookies, Captain Mayfair, two of the sweetest traditions of the holiday season, and I must say, they're among my favorites as well. Not only because I find them waiting for me on Christmas Eve, bless the kind souls who leave out a treat for Santa, but also because their history is as rich as their flavor. The tradition of gingerbread can be traced back to medieval Europe, where spices like ginger were prized for their warming qualities during the cold months. Monasteries often baked spiced cookies or cakes, and gingerbread was a particular favorite because it could be shaped into decorative forms. By the 16th century, it had become an art form, with gingerbread figures and houses appearing at fairs and celebrations, especially in Germany. The Brothers Grimm further popularized the idea of gingerbread houses with their tale of Hansel and Gretel, capturing imaginations and inspiring bakers everywhere. Gingerbread also ties directly to Christmas through its connection to festivity and creativity. Families began baking intricate gingerbread houses and figures as a way to celebrate the season together. The spices and sweetness brought warmth and joy to cold winter nights, making them the perfect holiday treat. And cookies, oh, cookies! The tradition of baking cookies for Christmas has roots in ancient feasting customs. During the midwinter festivals of Europe, people prepared rich, sweet treats as part of their celebrations. When the Christmas season developed, these special bakes became part of the festivities, symbolizing abundance and the joy of giving. The idea of leaving cookies for me on Christmas Eve likely evolved in the 1930s during the Great Depression. Families wanted to teach their children about generosity and gratitude, even in hard times, and offering a plate of cookies to Santa was a way to pass on those values. I was, of course, delighted by the tradition, and I remain so to this day. Whether it's classic chocolate chip, spiced ginger snaps, or beautifully frosted sugar cookies, I can never resist a kind-hearted gesture, especially when paired with a glass of milk. Gingerbread and cookies bring people together, whether it's in the kitchen, around the table, or through the simple act of giving. They're more than just delicious. They're little symbols of love, creativity, and the joy of sharing the season with others. So bake on, Captain Mayfair, and know that every batch, every frosted detail, and every bite of these holiday delights carries the magic of the season. And don't worry, if you leave a plate out for me, I'll be sure to savor every crumb.
And why do you say ho, ho, ho?
Now there's a delightful question, Captain Mayfair. My signature ho, ho, ho is more than just a jolly chuckle. It's an expression of my joy, warmth, and boundless enthusiasm for the holiday season. But if we dig a little deeper, there's a rich history behind that hearty laugh as well. In many traditions, laughter has long been associated with joy, abundance, and even a bit of magic. My ho, ho, ho is a natural extension of this, meant to reflect the happiness I feel as I share the spirit of Christmas with the world. It's a laugh that's meant to be infectious, lifting spirits and bringing smiles to faces young and old alike. The phrase itself may have its roots in old theatrical traditions. In centuries past, characters who were meant to embody merriment or mischief often used ho, ho, ho as a kind of verbal signature. You'll even find it in some old English plays and poems as a way to convey joviality or boisterous good cheer. When my modern persona was taking shape, that hearty exclamation fit perfectly with the image of a larger-than-life figure who loves to spread happiness. There's also a touch of practicality to it. A loud, cheerful ho, ho, ho can cut through the winter winds, calling attention to my presence in the skies or signaling my arrival to those who might catch a glimpse of me on Christmas Eve. It's as much a proclamation of good tidings as it is a laugh, a way of saying, the magic is here. Ultimately, Captain, my ho, ho, ho is the sound of pure delight. It's my way of sharing the joy I feel in my heart, of letting the world know that even in the coldest, darkest moments, laughter and warmth can light the way. And if it brings a smile to your face, well, that's the greatest gift of all.
You are beloved by children around the world, have brought boundless joy to generations, and yet some people still question your existence or even how you do the amazing things that you do. What do you have to say to those who feel you don't exist?
The question of belief, it's as timeless as the season itself. Let me say this. I do not measure my existence by whether or not everyone believes in me. I exist in the hearts of those who embrace the spirit of Christmas. And that, my dear friend, is something no amount of skepticism can extinguish. You see, belief in me isn't just about a jolly man in a red suit flying across the night sky with reindeer, though I must admit, it's a rather splendid image. It's about the magic of generosity, the joy of wonder, and the power of love and kindness. When people give selflessly, when they light up the eyes of a child, or when they make someone feel truly cared for, they are embodying what I stand for. In those moments, I am as real as the laughter, warmth, and love that fills the room. Now, as for how I manage the seemingly impossible, delivering gifts to millions of children, slipping down chimneys, and spreading cheer in a single night, it's all part of the magic that surrounds this season. Some things, Captain, are best left to mystery. If I were to explain every detail, it might take away the sense of wonder that makes this time of year so enchanting. And truly, what's life without a bit of mystery and imagination? For those who doubt, I hold no ill will. Sometimes, as we grow older, the weight of the world can dim our sense of wonder. My hope for them is that they might rediscover it, not necessarily through me, but through the love and joy of the season. Whether it's in the twinkle of a light, the sound of a carol, or the smile of a child, there's magic all around us, if we only choose to see it. I'll let you in on a little secret, Captain. I don't need every person to believe in me. All I ask is that people believe in the spirit of Christmas, the power of kindness, generosity, and goodwill. For in those moments I am present, even if they don't realize it. So to those who doubt, I say, look around, feel the joy of giving, the comfort of being with loved ones, and the wonder of a world where magic still lingers in unexpected places. That is where you'll find me.
As we close out our time, I'd like to ask one last question. Over the centuries and various forms, you've seen the world become more complex and more chaotic. For many of us, it becomes harder and harder to connect with the simple holiday spirit. what advice would you have for those of us who are trying to recapture the simple joy that you bring to the holidays?
What a thoughtful question to close on. A question as timeless as the season itself. The world does seem to grow ever more complex, doesn't it? Yet the beauty of the holiday spirit is that it remains steadfast, waiting for us to embrace it, no matter how chaotic life becomes. If you're seeking to recapture the simple joys of the season, let me share a few timeless pieces of advice. First, slow down and be present. The rush of modern life can sweep us away, especially during the holidays. Take a moment to pause, to truly notice the small, magical things around you, a child's laughter, the twinkle of lights, or the warmth of a cozy fire. The magic of Christmas isn't in perfection or busyness. It's in the quiet moments where love and gratitude shine brightest. Second, give, but not just gifts. The heart of the holiday spirit is generosity, and while presents are lovely, the most meaningful things you can give are often intangible. Share your time, your kindness, or a listening ear. Volunteer to help those in need, write a heartfelt note to someone you care about, or simply offer a smile to a stranger. The joy of giving is the surest way to feel the magic of the season. Third, revisit traditions that bring you joy. Whether it's baking cookies, decorating the tree, singing carols, or watching a favorite holiday movie, these small rituals anchor us in the warmth of the season. If old traditions no longer resonate, create new ones. The act of coming together, whether with family, friends, or even just yourself, is what makes traditions special. Fourth, embrace the wonder of the moment. Children teach us so much about the magic of the holidays. Watch how they marvel at the simplest things, a snowflake, a wrapped gift, or a story by the fire. Let their sense of wonder inspire you to rediscover the magic hidden in plain sight. Finally, cash the spirit beyond the season. The joy, kindness, and connection we feel during the holidays don't have to end on December 26th. By bringing a little of that Christmas spirit into your everyday life, you'll find that joy has a way of multiplying and coming back to you throughout the year. The holiday spirit isn't found in glitter or grand gestures. It's in the love we share, the moments we cherish, and the hope we nurture in our hearts. It's simpler than we think. It's always there, waiting for us to return to it. So, as you go forth, Captain Mayfair, remember this. The magic of the season isn't something you need to chase. It's within you, ready to be kindled like a fire on a cold winter's night. Share it, savor it, and you'll find that the joy you seek is closer than you think. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas to you, and may the season fill your heart with wonder and peace.
Thank you for being part of Mythos Anthology. We delve into the myths and legends of the past with the understanding that truth is often elusive and stories evolve over time. While we work hard to ensure accuracy and neutrality, it's important to remember that mythological studies are as much about interpretation as they are about facts. For more information, visit mythosanthology.com, where you'll find deep research archives, video content, interactive podcasts, and don't forget to try our AI character chats, where you can engage with digital recreations of our legendary guests.
Legends and myths from the past, stories that forever last. In the hearts of mortal men, tales that breathe and live again. Mythos Anthology, legends brought to modern times. Journey through the centuries.
Mythos Anthology is a creation of writer-executive producer Victor Ciccarelli. All content, including audio, video, and written material, is protected under copyright law 2025 Pihana Productions. All rights reserved. Any unauthorized reproduction, distribution, or use of this material is strictly prohibited. This episode includes material generated with the assistance of ChatGPT, an AI development of OpenAI used under license. All content has been reviewed and edited by the Mythos Anthology team to ensure accuracy and consistency. For more information, visit mythosanthology.com. Mythos Anthology, where echoes of ancient myths resonate with modern tools and creative minds.